This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that impacts you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Carrie Trybulec. Perhaps I didn't pronounce her name correctly, but she will correct me in a minute. Welcome to our show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very
much. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You got it just right. Perfect.
Okay. So she's a director of the Gandhi Memorial Center, which is located in Washington, D.C. She's going to tell us all about Gandhi Memorial Center, why she's engaged, why she's involved, and what is her role.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for having me here. This is a wonderful opportunity to share with the community what it is that I do with the Gandhi Memorial Center. I've been directing the Gandhi Center now for a little over 8 years, but I've been associated for about 15 years. Mm-hmm. I followed in the footsteps of a woman who directed the center for 30 years, Srimati Kamala, whom many of you will be familiar with over the years in this community. And the Gandhi Memorial Center became a part of my life at a time when I was actually a graduate student at American University.
What inspired you to be part of this journey?
Well, I will say I came initially as a student, and part of the journey was a study of life and reflection, not just of Gandhi, but all of those things which nourished Gandhi's life, the philosophy and heritage of India, as well as the global spiritual ideals and truths that nourished his life, such as those of Emerson and Thoreau, mm-hmm. Tolstoy, Ruskin. And I find that
Martin Luther King.
And Martin Luther King, those who followed Gandhi as well.
Right, exactly.
So it's certainly a lifelong pursuit of study and growth within myself, as well as those who have associated with the Gandhi Center.
So what's your role and responsibility? And if you have to talk to the audience, tell them a little bit about what does the Gandhi Memorial Foundation do and how people can get engaged and involved and informed?
Well, initially the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Foundation was established in 1959 by Swami Premananda, who came to the Washington area from India in 1928, right before the Great Depression.
Long years ago.
And being an Indian in America in that time and over the period of watching the movement for India's independence, of course, he, like Americans and those around the globe, were seeing Gandhi's efforts in life from a distance, over radio and newsreel footage, etc., newspapers. And he felt that in his life, he wanted to bring the message of Mahatma Gandhi to the United States, to the American community and population. And so in 1959, he established the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Foundation. But at that time, there were no buildings or centers or activities. It was an ideal.
Oh, okay. Now you do have a building?
So then in 1976, Swami Premananda established the Gandhi Memorial Center, which is the building that now exists on Western Avenue, right between Bethesda, Maryland and Washington, D.C. And the center has had a life mission of presenting the philosophy and teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, as well as the cultural heritage which nourished him. So through my role as director, I have the opportunity to engage with the diverse international community that is in this Washington area, presenting these ideals from Gandhiji's life, from the examples that he enacted and portrayed in very meaningful ways, and which the cultural heritage, the spiritual heritage, the vibrant traditions of the Indian subcontinent shaped and influenced throughout his life. So throughout the year, we present a lot of cultural activities and programs, performances, presentations, as well as a great deal of educational programming and activities within the Gandhi Center.
If you have to give an advice to the audience, and especially the young generations who do not know too much about Mahatma Gandhi, who was a hero of nonviolence all over the world, what would be that advice?
Well, I suppose the first suggestion I would have to students of all ages, I wouldn't just limit to the youth, is to study Gandhi.
Okay.
Now, of course, we have opportunities, galore through the internet, through film and media, but take some time to read some of what Gandhiji wrote, because he was such a prolific author. He edited his own newspapers, Young India and Harijan, both in India and South Africa. He wrote pamphlets and brochures. He wrote articles. He translated the Bhagavad Gita in his own interpretation. The ideas that he presented, were in his life experiments with truth. And I think that often as students we grow up, and as adults we find that a truth we have to be handed, that we need to follow it. But what Gandhiji always said was that truth to be real must be lived. In fact, his whole entire autobiography, My Experiments with Truth, were just that in his life, that any ideal, any truth brought by great philosophers, great souls of all mankind, from the scriptures, from all of these wonderful truths that have been passed down, yet we still must live them from ourselves. We must still experiment with them in our lives.
One of the most important part of the Gandhi life was fighting against the racism, which was deeply rooted in South Africa. And then if you think about the civil rights movement, the President Johnson signed it. What kind of advice would you give to the audience, especially those African American who are inspired by this story, that the civil rights movement was the right thing to do, and we can benefit today from the civil rights movement?
Well,
and we are benefiting it, and President Obama is an example of that diversity.
Well, looking to Gandhiji's example, certainly as you described, he was a tremendous influence upon Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
And I have experienced, just in my little world of working within the Gandhi Center and receiving visitors of all kind and students of all ages and all backgrounds, that everyone is thirsting for truth, for justice, for peace, for harmony. And we all want a quick fix. And we know how hard it is. Even Gandhiji said that the ideal which we are seeking in our lives is true liberation, self-liberation,
Very well said. Moksha.
And yet, how do we achieve that? And of course, we all come from different traditions. We may come from Islam, from Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, etc. And yet, we are actually seeking the same thing, maybe in different ways and in different expressions and in different styles and methods. Yet, when Gandhiji said that first we must be humble. We must be humbler than the dirt upon which we daily strive.
Very well said.
And then the other thought that I would suggest we consider, these are just reflections. I have no, directives, no declarations myself, is that we must be masters of ourselves. This whole idea of self-mastery was what Gandhiji was striving to achieve within his life. The entire ideal of satyagraha and ahimsa, of truth and nonviolence, was that we first must be able to control those desires, emotions, prejudices, biases, misunderstandings within ourselves. We can't control what other people do and say. We can only, and often limited, control what we do and think and say. So I think that just through my experience studying Gandhi's life, trying to live up to some of the ideals which he strived to live up to. It's a difficult path. Even Gandhiji said the path is as sharp as a razor's edge. He said, it is so narrow and sharp, and I weep when I fall. And I think that's where we need the reminder, is that we are all struggling for that same path.
Very good. So based on that, you look forward to an America that lives up to its ideals of equality, peace, and justice.
And think of this. What was the foundation of Mahatma Gandhi's idealism behind satyagraha and ahimsa? Peace and justice and harmony.
Yes.
Well, where did he get this foundation? Of course, he grew up in the Hindu faith. And later in his life, he was reintroduced to his own faith by the British when he went abroad to England to study law.
Right.
His friends said, Gandhi, read the Bhagavad Gita. He said, I know I have when I was a child, but I must say I've never really given it full attention and thought and consideration. And within his own study of his own faith and tradition, he found the message of renunciation, that one must be active, but one must not be attached to the results of one's actions. The idea that we see it conveyed today is that we must focus on the means and not the ends. Of course, we have a goal, we have an end in mind. We want peace, we want justice, we want harmony. But first, we must pay attention to the means, that we must be peaceful, we must be harmonious, and we must be just.
Very well said. So if you have to tell the audience how the people can get engaged in it and support the life and work of the Gandhi Center, and what kind of educational activities do you have there? Tell us a little bit about it.
I will, thank you. The Gandhi Memorial Center is entirely directed and given through the dedication of volunteers.
So
the life of the center is supported by individual contributors who wish to give in various ways.
So this is how you sustain the organization, by the individual contribution.
Absolutely, and those contributions are financial, but they are also dedication and offerings of service, of resources for our Gandhi Memorial Center library.
Is a tax exempt, obviously.
Yes, it's
by the IRS.
It's a nonprofit
organization.
501c3 tax-exempt organization. And I think for those who have had the opportunity to visit the Gandhi Center, and I hope that those who haven't will one day have the opportunity.
Could you tell us the audience where is it located?
Yes, the Gandhi Memorial Center is right on Western Avenue between Northwest Washington, D.C. and Bethesda, Maryland at 4748 Western Avenue. And it has a very humble space, but it is an abode of peace. And there is, of course, a library with resources for loan that students and families and scholars and teachers and individuals just out of their own desire and interest may come and study there or borrow some of the items, books and media regarding Gandhi's life and ideas. Then we have activities throughout the year where we invite schools and universities and community organizations to bring students to the Gandhi Center for an opportunity to immerse themselves in the ideas of Gandhi through interactive sessions, through intercultural activities, through educational curriculum and materials that the teachers may then utilize and bring back to their schools. We have college students, we have courses for retired professionals who come back and who are continuing their own education.
So courses people can take it for credit?
Well, it's not for credit through the Gandhi Center, but they could do it for independent study and so forth, yes. So there are a variety of activities, and then of course every year for October 2nd we invite the community to attend our birth anniversary observance of Mahatma Gandhi, which we hold on October 2nd in collaboration with the Indian Embassy, which is always a beautiful offering, a very devotional offering of music and bhajans of dance, as well as special remarks from the embassy, from the Gandhi Center, and other invited guests. And that is a very sacred occasion for us to honor that special date and anniversary. You know, this year will be the 145th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi.
Wow.
So going back to 1869, this light has been shining for us as well as future generations. And that always reminds me of the famous and very often quoted line from Albert Einstein, who said that generations to come will scarce believe that such a one in flesh and blood walked upon this earth.
Very well said. Now, is there anything else you'd like to say about the Memorial Center, and what's the kind of things coming up besides the October 2nd event you're talking about?
We do have a very full calendar for this fall.
Is that right?
Yes, we have.
Share with us a little bit.
Some wonderful cultural programs, concerts. We have a wonderful vocalist coming, Hemang Mehta, on September 21st. Then we will have, after our October 2nd Gandhi Jayanti observance, a wonderful sitarist who will be traveling to the Washington area, Anupama Bhagwat. And then throughout the month of October, we have other programs looking at the Rajasthani folk music with the very wonderful traditional Rajasthani musician Laka Khan coming to perform vocal and sarangi, along with an ethnomusicologist.
How did the music relate to the Gandhi Center?
The music and the dance and the art and the literature, all of these are expressions of these vibrant, beautiful heritage which nourished Gandhi, which nourished those who strove with Gandhi to seek free India. But if you think of it in terms of global cultural understanding, the idealism, the striving for perfection that comes from these traditions is an example for all of us at any stage. And certainly every culture has its traditions, and we have the wonderful opportunity to share the Indian cultural heritage through the Gandhi
Which
Center.
includes the music and art.
Absolutely. Art exhibits. We have authors who come and present at the Gandhi Center. We have had Indian classical dance performances. It has been a very rich offering and sharing through the Gandhi Center that we have shared.
If you have to share with your audience, what the audience and the people have to do to keep this hope alive?
Well, that is a flame that we kindle within ourselves.
That's very well said.
It is, it is. And how we kindle that would depend on our own life and desire and expression.
What attracted you to the Gandhi movement?
Well, to tell you the truth, what first drew me to the Gandhi Center was my own study. I have to say I was studying international peace and conflict resolution at American University.
Over here for the International School of Studies?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
and was working with a very beautiful human being, Professor Abdulaziz Saeed.
I do know him.
And in his course of teaching and study on looking at Islam as a source for peace and conflict resolution, and with my own longtime interest in world religions and philosophy, I thought, well, after taking this course of study and reflection, let me look at another tradition. And through my interest in studying the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, I found the library at the Gandhi Center.
Very
and
well.
that was my introduction to Mahatma Gandhi.
I serve on the board of the U.S. Institute of Peace, which stands for the conflict resolutions and conflict management. Do you interface with them?
Well, we have not directly
intend to? Do you want to?
organized. We have very many colleagues and friends who are part of the U.S. Institute of Peace, but certainly there are always cooperations and collaborations that we will be interested to engage upon.
And what kind of cooperations and collaboration you're looking for?
Well, you know, for example, some of the things that we have in addition to our student groups visiting the Gandhi Center and our cultural activities, we have been called upon by various nonprofits that work, for example, with the State Department when they have international exchange visitor programs, whether at the student level or professional level. And they contact us and say, oh, Carrie, let us bring these individuals to the Gandhi Center. We want them to have an introduction to Gandhiji's message.
So
in
both
life.
centers have a shared goal.
Absolutely.
And shared responsibility.
Certainly.
And shared sacrifices.
That's what life is all about.
Well,
sharing.
thank you, Carrie, for coming. We appreciate that
you
very
so
much. Thank you
much,
for
Mr.
sharing
Islam.
your insight.
It is a pleasure to be with you,
Thank
and
you.
I look forward to inviting your guests to visit us at the Gandhi
By all
Memorial
means.
Center.
Thank you for watching.